Hey guys, it's Jared back with Raging Demons RPG, and I'm so glad you're still here. I knew you would be, because I know y'all are into RPGs, and we all know that is Satan's game. So none of y'all were getting raptured. I just knew that was gonna be it. And yes, that's right. You were getting a y'all from a Canadian. I was thoroughly Americanized in high school. Not because of watching too much TV, but I was basically told if I didn't stop saying A by some very friendly and large African American individuals from North and South Carolina, that if I did not stop saying A, they would make sure that I would stop. Although, interestingly enough, had I started my sentence with A, they would have just thought I was from Hoboken and probably left me alone. So, okay. Rapture stuff aside, Americanization aside, I'm here to talk about an itchy nose apparently. Star Wars versus Star Trek. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, and I don't care. I at first I did. I was like, oh man, well, I'm getting so people are starting to watch my videos and. Well, should I? And then I'm like, yeah, why the hell not? It's if you don't tackle the tough stuff and expect to take a little bit of a flaming for it, then you got nothing really to say, obviously. That and I just love controversy. If I didn't like sticking to my guns and saying what I believe, I probably wouldn't have ended up being an atheist. Which is not a popular pursuit for anybody. It might sound like it's a lot easier. I guarantee you it's not. So yeah, Star Trek versus Star Wars. I'm going to first start off by the stuff I like out of Star Trek. I started with Next Generation. Really got into like the Klingons, and I like the Borg. That's probably why I think the only box set I ever got was the DVD Borg collection, which is like some of the best Borg episodes. Now, early Next Generation Borgs, man, go back to Radio Shack. It was rough they're rough to watch, but they're kind of essential. I still have to say my favorite episode of Star Trek involving the Borg has to be the one that makes me the most upset. It's the one called Drone. And in that episode, the crew of Voyager, they have a doctor on board who's a hologram. I'm not going to get into him. He's Data 2.0. But they managed to get this mobile emitter for him from, of all places, the future. Yeah, science fiction. When you run out of ideas, time travel is always good. So yeah, he's got this futuristic mobile emitter. Suspension of disbelief's already there, so I let it slide. Now, somehow, that little thing and some Borg nanoprobes get all mixed up together from the Borg character that's actually aboard the ship. Let's call her a redeemed Borg. And the process basically creates a child in, it creates a drone. And this drone has got, technology that's not even available for, another 300 years integrated into his systems. So, his capabilities are far above the average Borg, and he's got all these questions, and, he was just kick-ass. I mean, site-to-site transporting. I mean, he wasn't like a god. See, that's what irritated me. He wasn't like a really super duper powerful character. They just got rid of him because he was like a one-shot plot device, and and also he didn't have giant photon torpedoes like Jerry Ryan did. So and the fanboys loved her in that little corset thing they made her wear, which is probably the reason why she still has a hate on for Star Trek fans and Star Trek in general, because you take a female actress who's trying to have a serious gig, and you start sticking her in stupid shit like that, a bad costume, uncomfortable, just so she can stick her tits out. Yeah, she's gonna get kind of cheesed, and that's the reason why this drone lasted only this episode. Me personally, I would have this guy replace her in a second. Um, like I wouldn't have even cared if it was a woman. See, that's what I would have. I would have liked. I didn't care if it was a man or woman. Just I like the character concept. He would have helped him out so much because the Borg were in their face constantly, and he wouldn't have been able to dominate the Borg. But it's like Worf and the Klingons. He's always had a leg up somehow on all these Klingons. Anyway, so you can see based on that little rant that I can get involved in Star Trek. Another thing I like about Star Trek, the latest movie. I thought, here's another way of telling their story. I like the fact they made it an alternate timeline, divergent from the original. I didn't get all mad because the Romulans had tattoos. Because in the deleted scenes, they even explain that even further. Because those are, it's like if you think by looking at those things and you haven't seen deleted scenes for the movie, if you think, damn, those tattoos look like Klingon writing, that's because they are. Those are Klingon prison tattoos. So, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's kind of hardcore. And Romulans piss me off anyway. It's the whole Vulcan thing. And then here we go. I'm going to start getting into the things I don't like about Star Trek. What kind of makes it, for me, not as good as Star Wars as a total package, total universe. Number one, Vulcans. They are space elves with green blood. Period. They're supposed to be, they live longer, they're superior to humans in every way, yada yada. I've even heard people, and I've seen it sort of practiced, but they never get into it, that they're supposed to be like 3 times stronger than a human being, but because their true sense of logic keeps themselves under control, and that's why they can throw a Klingon around, no problem. Romulans are like the Dark Elves. It's just, you see what I mean? It's hard to watch sometimes. And that, and, yes, it started in the 60s, and costuming and makeup wasn't really up to snuff at that point. I mean, one look at the Gorn in that series and you'll know, even though he's a pivotal battle, he takes part, sorry, in a pivotal battle. He still kind of looks a little dated and antique-y and kind of cheap. So I get it where it started from, but the real ethos behind them, the mythos, they're elves. Just elves. And it's hard to watch, especially if you have a background in role-playing, because it's just like, oh, come on now. And then just keep on going down. You got the Klingons, yeah, I like them, but Klingons originally looked like a bunch of Mongolians or something. They were tough to watch in the original series, still are. And really all they did, and all they really do in Star Trek is, what we got is a human face, right? And then somebody in the makeup department just, I don't know if they have a shortage on spirit gum or something, but they put a little piece of lettuce or something. They put something on the face, the forehead, the nose, the neck. Occasionally they'll cover the hair. And it just, it does not help for me, the suspension of disbelief. Not really. Yes, I want to see human characteristics somewhat in my aliens, because I have to find a connecting point. The things that are truly the most alien probably should be villains, because those things we do not understand, we tend to, by defense, as human beings, try and destroy or hate, or, you know what I mean? So then having humanity in the aliens is fine, but they're too human looking. Everybody's a human. Ferengis have big ears. Cardassians have little ridges. Have these pronounced little things on their face, and they got like a teaspoon hacked off and put in the middle of their head. The Bajorans are really just they got a wrinkle in their nose permanently, and an earring. An earring. Are you kidding me? So they, so this person just didn't get collagen in their nose, and they got a bit of an affinity for some blingy jewelry, and they're an alien. Okay, not quite buying it. And this sort of thing, actually, I classify for Babylon 5 too. So for the Babylon 5 fans that might be watching, yeah, I watched it too, and it's the same thing. It just you got aliens that are too human. Star Wars, on the other hand, has some very alien aliens. I mean, one look around that cantina in the first movie, yeah, some of it did seem a little cheesy and dated too. I'm not going to deny that, but it was the 70s, just like how the original series of Star Trek was the 60s. Technology could only go so far. And at this point in time, Lucas didn't become fully obsessed with computer-generated graphics, so he tried to do everything with a costume shop, which is fantastic compared to the crap that he's shelling out right now. But one look around that cantina, you did not question for a second. Is that an alien? It kind of looks like a dude in a suit. No. One look at an Ithorian, or even Chewbacca, or Greedo. They're all so alien. They were like, yep, this is a galaxy far, far away. I don't know about the long time ago, because this stuff kind of looks like, on par with what we got right now, plus a little bit extra. The technology, however, is, here's something where I know I'm going to get hate from. I read a lot of those books where they discuss the technology of Star Trek and Star Wars, if they were real. And you got these, like, MIT guys and all sorts of theoretical physicists who, of course, are science fiction fans. They put their 2 cents in. They base it on what the movies can show them, and they say if it had to be capable of doing that, it'd have to be blah. And the same thing goes for, like, Star Trek. So they stack them up against one another, and it did not turn out very well for Star Trek. For one thing, this is the only thing I'm going to kind of trail off on here. Voyager. That whole series could have been ended in a second if it took place in the Star Wars universe. You want to know why? Because they're in a quadrant of the galaxy. A quadrant, right? A galaxy is a very large place. I am not denying that for one instance. Anybody who even plays Spore knows that a galaxy is this just sea of stars that seems completely endless. And traveling that great distance requires faster than light travel, unless you want to, we want everybody back home to be 1,000 years older by the time you get back after a 20-minute trip. The thing of it is, Voyager could not get home. It was stranded in a quad. It was going to take like 70 years to get home. Which, created a sort of like, dire consequences. And they followed the same thing recently with Stargate Universe. Here's the thing, though. The Millennium Falcon, yes, that rickety old rust bucket, if you look at a star map, it goes from Tatooine to Alderaan. Tatooine is on the outer rim of the galaxy, so let's say the Delta Quadrant of the Star Wars galaxy. Then Alderaan is like a hair shy of Coruscant, the capital, which is a core system, which means it's in the center. It's near the core of the galaxy. How long did it take them to get there? Couple of days. So that right there, their light speed or hyperspeed or hyperspace that they use is equivalent maybe to, I don't know, these bored conduits they use. So you can see right there the technology is a little skewed. Everybody likes to think that Star Wars is pretty primitive because of the rough and tumble style it's got. But honestly, for all of Star Trek's sleek, shiny exterior, they're kind of screwed. even the most advanced races they've ever come across, aside from the Q. I know you Star Trek fans are gonna bring that up. Cheapest thing ever since fucking Superman, as far as fiction goes. Um, yeah, like they're struggling. They struggle to even match up with the Galactic Empire. A bunch of guys who can't see properly out of their helmets, so they keep missing, and cause an entire subtext or along the lines of every time you see somebody missing in a movie now, it's Stormtrooper syndrome. These guys top the Federation of Planets. All right, so that's I got the problems with the costuming, the just the truly alien nature of it. And then it comes down to the Federation itself. The Federation is supposed to be a consortium of all the nations of the world put into one, and everybody gets along, except for like a rogue element known as the Maquis, which I was very impressed to see that German news networks used the Maquis emblem when they were putting up SEAL Team 6. The ones that killed Bin Laden. I love the fact that they put that up there and didn't even know, because I know there's such a big Star Trek following in Germany. It fascinates me they didn't catch it. I mean, there's a bat'leth and a phaser on the logo. Anyway, but the Maquis are like the Rebel Alliance, sort of. And that's about it. I mean, the Federation basically says that everybody gets along, except for other races. So, yeah, humans are cool with one another, but, fuck the Klingons, and screw you Romulans. And, it's interesting. I don't buy it. The Federation would never exist. It's an ideal, it is the best version of communism, which hurts me to no end. It's just like, holy crap. Should I be addressing you as captain, or should I be like more like going to the engine room and going, Comrade Commissar Scotty, can you beam me up, for the glory of the motherland? I know I'm painting a drab picture, but they don't have any money. They cooperate for the greater good. It's communism. It's the way it's supposed to have worked. It's a very Marxist way of going about it, but it's communism in space. Without all the, in Mother Russia reverse, jokes floating around there. Yeah, I have trouble with it. Now, if the Earth were governed by 2 or 3 major powers, and they came to a consensus, but there still was tension, I could buy it. But the idea that we all just went, you know what? That's cool. Your religion's, screw. Or if they eliminated religion and everything, I kind of buy it, like communism did. But even this is where it gets weird. They didn't make anybody sacrifice anything. There was no, there's still a religious divergence, but for some odd reason we're cool with it. Like, hey, your god's the wrong god, whereas, nowadays they would shoot each other over it. They're just like, oh, whatever, it's cool. I'm cool with it now. Yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm not gonna buy it for a second. So I don't know. It's just the politics there bother me, but I guess it makes the show go forward. We put that baby to bed. Yes, humanity works together. Good. For greater good, go in the stars, explore. Let's meet new people. Okay, fine. Even then, the Federation's kind of dicks. You know what I mean? They come along and they say, oh, well, we'll help you, but we kind of need something from you back. Oh, you don't want to give us anything? Okay, fine, then we'll just turn our phasers on you. And they do. And they do that all the time. But they usually disguise the people they're resisting as, oh, well, they're up to sinister things. And also, the technology thing, The Vulcans came along because of one warp flight. I get it. They stole that Prime Directive crap from the Vulcans. But the Prime Directive hurts me like you wouldn't believe. Like wouldn't you love, like right now I'm looking out the window, wouldn't you just love like some big alien craft to swoop down and, you know, make contact? It doesn't mean they're gonna give a shit, but just make contact. You know, better our world somehow, even a little bit. I mean, there would be definitely some turmoil, but in the end, when the dust clears, the aliens' presence would bring us together a little bit more as a human society. Just kind of like, you know, what they tried to do with Star Trek, but as I said, they made it a little too unified. We as a people would just be like, oh, cool, we're not alone. Then I guess we better work on getting out there, because, you know, we're not doing so good down here. But like, oh, you're a certain tech level. No, we're just gonna pass you over because we're humans and not we're the Federation. We're better than you. Doesn't really sound like. Oh, your mate just about to have a sneeze. Okay, that's gone. You know what I mean? Like it's the Federation just started to turn its nose up at everybody, and ugh, I don't know. Whereas you get the Rebel Alliance, right? I mean, take a look at the rebels. Um, the Empire too, to a certain extent. The Empire recruits basically from all over. They use every resource available to them, but at the same time, they're kind of safe to say human supremacists, even though there's technically not really humans in the Star Wars universe. They're all basically Corellians or, you know, or the derivative planets thereof. But the Rebel Alliance, like, you know, they weren't gonna go ahead and say, "Hey, fuck you, Ewoks." You know what I mean? Like, imagine if they did. Yeah. Some of you were like, "Yeah, imagine if they did. That'd be an awesome movie." Yeah, okay. Hate on the Ewoks all you want, and hate on the Gungans and all the other primitive cultures they've ever contacted. But I mean, if you want to hate on Jar Jar Binks, fine, but don't hate the Gungans, man. I mean, they're just defending their home, and if the rebels or the rebels or the Republic or any of them just said, you know what, fuck you guys, because you don't have warp drive, they would have lost, like big time, in those conflicts. You know, without the support of the indigenous peoples, they would have been completely screwed, and the whole thing would have just come falling down like a house of cards. Now, imagine if the Rebel Alliance conducted themselves like the Federation and said, "Well, we're sorry, you only have flint, spears, and you live in trees. Sorry, you don't know anything that would be anywhere beneficial to us, and we're not going to share technology with you because you don't know how to handle it." You know what? Yeah, maybe I don't want to give an Ewok a blaster. It's actually a little scary to see them holding up the end of Return of the Jedi. But damn, man, like, can you imagine all the wars we would have lost here on Earth had we not, you know, chimed in with the locals? It's sick. It's a sick mentality. Oh well, these little rat bastards, you know, in World War II are nothing but a bunch of primitive island monkeys. We're just gonna leave them alone, and I might be sounding like me going off on a tangent, but the United States used a lot of Aboriginal indigenous peoples to like fight the Japanese. Not only just their own. I mean, Wind Talkers, of course, very popular. The Navajo Code Talkers, but they also had like people that lived in the South China Seas and way south. I mean, far south, almost Australia south. And these people hadn't even seen a plane before, let alone know where Japan is. But they used them, and you know what? Damn it, they helped, and they saved some lives. They got stuff done, and they're eternally grateful. So, I don't know. That's the contentions I have. That, you know what, Star Wars has the Force. And the Force for me is just this. It's a fantastic story element, or at least for the most part it was. It still is to a point. But once they got that midi-chlorian crap going on, it stopped being something special. When it was no longer like the link to the universe, to all things. It was now a sexually transmitted disease that gave you awesome superpowers. You know what I mean? So, okay. So, as you can tell, Star Wars wins out, in my opinion. Star Trek, I hope they come back big as life, loud and proud. And for those of you that are going to go ahead and try and tell me that, oh, that last Star Trek film was terrible, because you're Star Trek purists or something, shut up. Shut up. Your purist mentality got Enterprise completely taken off the air, because it was just ever since the original series, it's been going downhill. It's been getting darker and darker and darker until finally it just crashed. Right, and that was not the doing of some new guy on the block that wanted to put a new spin on it. Your favorite, I'm just going to tell you right now, as a Star Wars fan, I know this for a fact. I'm not talking on my ass. Some of your favorite Star Trek films were made in cooperation with Industrial Light and Magic, and if you don't know who that is George Lucas's special effects company. That's right, Captain Star Wars occasionally shook hands with the Star Trek guys because they're all in the same business and money was being exchanged, and he went ahead and he pulled it out. Wrath of Khan, Industrial Light and Magic was involved. This most recent one, clearly they were. So many of those fight scenes look like there should have been a couple of TIE fighters maneuvering in the space battles. But anyway, I really want Star Trek to come back loud and just in charge, right? I want it to be badass. And I want Star Wars to do the exact same thing, because right now, I'm seeing its death rattle. Come on, do we need all the original movies in 3D? No. But for the sake of this video, that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to one. Opinions are like belly buttons. And Star Wars wins. Star Trek loses this time. Only time will tell. And the best thing about an opinion is that it can change based on new information. It's not a belief. I don't believe in Star Wars over Star Trek. I'm willing to see what the future holds. And for the sake of science fiction everywhere, I hope that Star Wars and Star Trek continue to crank it out. Because without them, as you can see, now that Stargate's gone too, the science fiction landscape is pretty bleak. But alright guys, that's been my half hour. If you sat through this entire thing, I'm glad, and I hope to hear your comments. I hope to hear the flames and the applause, whichever side it comes from. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you for the next video.